Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks. On the beach today. I'm in the northwest of Spain in a city called Vigo at one of the local beaches here, the Samil Beach. That's the town behind me that you can see. And if I turn the camera around here, you'll be able to see the Islas Thiers, which are an important tourist destination in this part of Spain. If you're not familiar with the city of Vigo, it's in the autonomous community of Galicia, and as I said, it's in the northwest of the country. And we're going to have a look around this city, and I'll give you my opinion on what it would be like to live in a city like this if you're looking to come and live in Spain or work in Spain, or maybe both. So let's go. Now I'm on the road again. It seems like I'm doing a lot of traveling lately. I've been to Murcia this year, I've been to the Canary Islands, I've been to Portugal. So I'm out and about this year definitely. And what I will say is that Vigo is one of my favorite cities in this country. And I'll tell you why. Hopefully one of the branches of these trees doesn't fall down and crack me on the head. Here are the rules that you've got to keep in mind before you go to this beach. Now, one of the reasons why Vigo is one of my favorite cities in this country is because of this thing that I have behind me here, the Ria de Vigo. In fact, this whole coastline here in Galicia has numerous rias. There's another one just up there called the Ria de Pontevedra, which I'll have a look at tomorrow. But this ria here, estuary, I think would be the translation in English. And not only do you have fantastic views everywhere you go in this city, everything is green because it rains a lot. I'll talk about some of the pros and cons of this city in just a while. But green everywhere you go, and also the produce that comes out of this ria or estuary, the seafood, is second to none. And hopefully I'll get to try some of that seafood while I'm here in Galicia. Let's hope. Now here's the view that lifeguards get when they're watching over this beach here in Vigo. I'll just turn the camera around. Absolutely spectacular. Wow, I could sit here all day watching over this beach. But one thing I will say about the beaches here in Galicia, and that water there, the water in the Ria, the Atlantic Ocean water, is that it's very, very cold and not for the faint-hearted. Now, another one of the reasons why I love the city of Vigo is because this was one of the first cities that I came to here in Spain way back in the early 1990s. 1991, I think it was. I came out here for the summer. I had some friends from this area and they invited me to their home back then. Stayed about 2 months. I might have overstayed my welcome, and I also came back the next year in 1992 and spent another summer. So basically this city and the surrounding area was the first contact that I had with this magnificent country, as I said, back in the early 1990s. And I'll be honest, doesn't seem to have changed that much. Now, as I said, I'm going to talk about some of the pros and cons of coming to a place like this. If you're deciding to live in a country like Spain, where are you looking to live? The can just fell over because it's quite a blustery day today. And one of the pros of this part of Spain is the food and drink. I'm going to start with beer. This beer here, 1906 Estrella Galicia, one of the best beers in Spain. In fact, the Estrella Galicia brand of beer is, in my opinion, one of the best, and I'm sure beer lovers out there will know this beer. And when you sit outside here on one of these terraces or outdoor seating areas in this part of Spain, fantastic views. I'm going to sit over there in a minute so that I can enjoy the view, but I thought I'd sit here so that you guys can see what the view's like when you have a nice cold beer here in Spain around 12:30, just after midday on the 4th of May. Good weather, although, as I said, a little bit windy. So, where is Vigo? I hear you asking. Well, as I said before, it's in the autonomous community of Galicia. A very important part of Spain is Galicia, both historically, culturally, and also from a language point of view. It's one of the areas of Spain that has its own unique language, one of the 4 officially recognized languages here in Spain, Gallego. I'll talk about that a little bit more later on in the video. And Vigo, roughly 5.5 hours, give or take, from the capital city, Madrid. Well connected by road. Nowadays it is anyway. When I first came here, it wasn't the case. It took a fair while to get to Madrid. And now we've even got a fast train coming to this part of the world, connected with Madrid, of course, the AVE fast train. So Vigo now well connected. In that direction is Portugal, not too far away. In fact, if I throw a stone, I could probably hit Portugal. It's that close. The border is in that direction. And a curious fact about the city of Vigo is that it's the biggest city in the autonomous community of Galicia, but it's not the capital city. The capital city is Santiago de Compostela, and it's not even the capital city of this province, the province of Pontevedra. The capital city is Pontevedra City. So Vigo, the biggest, most important city in Galicia, but it's not the capital. Interesting. I would never get tired of that view. Fantastic. Another magnificent little white sand beach down there, and with a fantastic beach bar close by, or chiringuito as they are called here in Spain. This one in particular, or pirata. So let's talk about some of the pros and cons of this city here in Spain. Well, the biggest con, I would say, is the weather. Atlantic weather. It's sort of been spitting down with rain since I've been walking along this path. Not heavy rain, but I imagine that in the winter months the rain here can get heavy. I spent a winter here back in 1995. I was here for about a month and a half, and I reckon it rained in that month and a half around 75% of the time. But when the sun does come out, the weather's absolutely fantastic. But of course, to have such lush green vegetation comes at a cost. And as you can see behind me, those rain clouds coming in from the Atlantic, and this is a wet part of the country. But if you don't mind a bit of rain every now and again, I must say that the summers here are fantastic. You won't see much rain during the months of July and August, but the rest of the year you will. So as I said, if you don't mind a bit of rain, this could be the place for you. This could be the perfect place for you. Now, I imagine this part of Vigo gets very busy during the summer months. There's lots of beach bars and hotels along this road. It is a city beach, of course, and people from the more dense parts of the city would come here to swim and also spend those hot summer days. But then again, I don't think it would get too hot in this part of Spain. Humid, yes, but hot, I don't think so. Now, this is one of those rainstorms that I was talking about before. Sunny one moment, raining the next, but as we know, to get this level of green lushness, you need a bit of rain every now and again. So I'll just wait under this tree for the rain to pass, which I think will be in around 20 seconds time. And just like that, it stops. Now, I mentioned a couple of minutes ago about the historical importance of this part of Spain, and also the linguistic importance of this part of Spain, and the fact that Galicia has its own language, Gallego, or the Galician language. Now, that would be expensive accommodation. Absolutely deluxe accommodation on the banks of the Ria de Vigo. Now, the Galician language, or Gallego as it's called in Spanish, or Gallego as it's known locally, is a mix between Portuguese and Castilian Spanish, but some of the words are more similar to Portuguese. For example, they don't use the word hablar, they don't say hablar Gallego, they say falar Gallego. So that's one of the main differences, as I said, closer to Portuguese than to Castellano Spanish. Puerta here is porta, and rubbish, basura in Castellano, is lixo, which is similar to Portuguese. So it's a mix between the two, I would say, but very importantly, not that difficult to understand if you speak both languages, or even if you speak Castellano, you can understand Gallego fairly well, I would say. But the majority of people speak Castellano Spanish. It might be a different story if you go to some of the more remote villages, for example, some of the ones on the other side of the Ria there, I don't know, but in this part of Galicia with Castellano Spanish, you'll get by just fine. And not only is the language different in this part of Spain, but the culture and traditions are different too. If you come to Galicia looking for flamenco, you will be disappointed because they have their own songs and dances here. You won't see many people dressed in flamenco outfits and dancing the typical sevillanas. As I said, they have their own dances here. The Moneda, I think, is one of the typical dances. And also they have their own music here as well, which has more in common with music from Scotland or Ireland than it does with other parts of mainland Europe. So that's also surprising and something that you've got to keep in mind also if you come to this part of the world. Bagpipes, for example, and pipe bands are common. However, even though Galicia does have its own history, culture and traditions, you will find things that are similar in other parts of Spain here also. So it's not completely different, but one of the things that I like about Galicia and Vigo in particular is that you can find that unique cultural aspect to the city. And one thing I will say is that the people here, or at least the Gallegos that I know, are very, very proud of their history, culture and language. So keep that in mind too. Now, one of the pros of this city that I have seen so far is that there's lots of little parks tucked away among the buildings. It's quite a dense city, I'm not going to lie, but you can find nice little parks, places where you can sit down, take the weight off your feet and enjoy a nice spring day like the one I have today. It's around 22 degrees Celsius, not too hot, not too cold. When it's not raining, fantastic. Aquí Vigo, para tener perros, es una buena ciudad?
Sí.
¿Sí?
Sí.
¿Hay mucho espacio? ¿Sí?
Sí, bueno, lo que pasa es que hay que ir con eso.
Ah, tienes que ir con eso
Sí,
siempre.
aquí sí, porque hay zona de perro poca.
¿Pero se puede entrar en sitios ya?
Sí,
¿También?
Sí, eso sí, ahora sí.
Ah, muy bien,
Sí,
ha cambiado,
centro
¿no?
Comercial,
Pues sí, ¿no?
tiendas,
Mejor.
Sí, ha cambiado, sí.
Muy bien.
Cafeterías y eso, aún no.
No.
Los restaurantes no. Pero a mí tampoco me gusta.
No, bueno, según la gente que esté dentro, ¿no? Pero
Claro.
bueno, muchas gracias.
Nada.
So importantly, as we just heard, Vigo, according to that lady, is a dog-friendly city. That's a pro. Now, when it comes to getting around this city, the car is king. There is a decent public transport system. Buses are running. However, I was waiting a while for a bus earlier today, around 10 to 15 minutes waiting for the bus to take me to my destination. But as I said, car is king. You see a few people riding scooters, you see a few people riding bikes, but one of the big issues with Vigo is that it's a very hilly city. Everything runs down to the Ria, and that means that if you go down, you've got to find your way back up. And obviously the easiest way to do that would be on an electric bike, car, or as I said, some other type of public transport, because this is the type of hill that you got to get up frequently in this city. But what I would say is that if you had to climb these hills every day on foot, you'd get fit pretty quickly. Now, another pro about Galicia in general, and also the city of Vigo, is that the food in this part of the world is fantastic. It's 1:20, so that means it's time for lunch. And all I have to do now is find a decent restaurant. One of the standouts here is churrasco, which is barbecue, chicken, other types of meat. So I'm going to find a churrasco restaurant if I can. So I found a local restaurant recommended by somebody who was walking down the street. They told me about this place, so I've decided to come in. Menú del día. Salad is the first course. I went for churrasco, pork dish for the second, and of course wine included, bread included as well. Not sure on the price, but I think it's under 12 euros. And another positive aspect of this restaurant is that it's full of workers, people that have the high-vis uniform on. So I reckon I'm in a decent place with good quality, cheap food. So let's check it out. Now the second course has arrived, barbecued pork chops. And as I said before, barbecues in this part of Spain are absolutely fantastic, and this meat and chips looks very, very tasty. So I'm going to tuck in dessert. Wonderful, but not included in the menu, which is a shame, but for the price, can't complain. But coffee is included. So lunch is over. I had a menú del día, €11.50, dessert not included. And remember this expression, En Galicia se come de maravilla. Remember that one. And I'll stand by my claim that when it comes to eating and drinking in this country, Galicia is right up there with the best of them, or at least that's my opinion. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, Vigo is the biggest city in Galicia, just shy of 300,000 people, and it's also the most industrial city in this part of Spain. And the key activity here, of course, is the port where I am currently. Lots of ships here from all over the world come to drop off goods here. Things that are being picked up around the world, and lots of people in this city work in the naval industry. In fact, when I first came to Galicia many years ago, the father of the family that I stayed with was in the merchant marine and spent many a year at sea. And here's an example of some of the produce that has just come ashore. I can see oranges there, I can see other types of fruit, and obviously coming in from, as I said, different parts of the world. And here's a different view of the city from the port. Also magnificent views. Now, if you were considering coming to a place like Vigo and looking for a job, well, I don't reckon it would be easy to find a job here. This is one of the parts of Spain where unemployment has historically been high. Of course, you could always find a job teaching English. All around Spain you can teach English, and Vigo would be no different in that regard. And as far as the rest of the economy goes, obviously related to the port here, industry, fishing, things like that, the seafood industry, and also services that you would find in the central part of the city. So those would be the main jobs in this part of Spain. But as I said, if you wanted to teach English, I reckon you could find a job here. A pro about this city is when it comes to the cost of living. Cost of living here are a lot cheaper than it is in one of the bigger cities in Spain. For example, comparing it to Madrid, a lot cheaper here. Although the menú del día that I just had wasn't all that cheap. But in general, the cost of living is cheaper. Finding a place to live, for example, cheaper, and the general day-to-day. And also the lifestyle here. A lot less stress in this part of Spain than you would get in a bigger city, and that's one of the things I like about it. And when you get a nice day like this one here, this city is an absolute treat. And this company here, Pescanova, one of the most important companies in Galicia, they had some financial problems a few years back, but I think they got over them. Somebody bought them out, and I think they're back on track now. But Pescanova, one of the biggest employers in this part of Spain, in the seafood industry, of course. And again, I'll reiterate on one of the negative aspects of this city. If you come down to this part of the city, you got to get back up again if you want to get up to your accommodation or hotel, which is my case. Now, judging by the amount of pilgrims that I've seen walking around with backpacks on, sweating of course, doing it hard, I think that Vigo is on one of the many St. James routes. I think it's the Portuguese route, and lots of people in this city currently on their way to Santiago de Compostela, as I said, doing the pilgrimage. Now this is a steep hill, and I'll tell you what, my calves sure got a workout. Nah. And it's from this fantastic vantage point that I start to wrap this video up. The city of Vigo here in the northwest of Spain, the biggest city in the autonomous community of Galicia, just under 300,000 people, and in my opinion, a fantastic city should you be looking for a city to come and live in here in Spain. The food's good, the drink's good, people are friendly, a little bit hilly, but apart from that, I recommend this city. And with views like this, if you want to come up to a place like this and check out these views on a daily basis, absolutely fantastic. The weather's a bit hit and miss. The storms roll through here fairly quickly. That's one of the negative aspects of this city. But apart from that, as I said, I recommend this city. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. If you have been to Vigo, let me know what you thought of the city. If you're planning to come here and check it out, also let me know. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego. Now I'm going to explore the city, and stay tuned for a little bit more of the city of Vigo. Until the next one, bye-bye.